What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Prosperity Through Multifamily Real Estate Investing podcast. I'm your host, Cody Laughlin, and this is your new weekly podcast series where we discuss all things related to apartment syndication, where we talk to industry leaders and experts to help you grow your business. So with us today, we have Chris Salerno, principal at QC Capital. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing phenomenal. How are you doing?
Man, I'm fantastic. I'm so excited that you're here on this episode with us and looking forward to our conversation. So
I know I'm excited to be here. Thank you for asking me, and I'm excited to give back and add value to all of your listeners.
awesome, man. Well, before we get started, here's a little bit about Chris. He is a real estate entrepreneur who believes investing is the best. Excuse me. Chris is a real estate investor entrepreneur who believes investing in a real estate is the best building block for financial freedom. He is a firm believer in affirmations exemplified by notes, personally placed around every corner, which serves a constant reminder that every day is a special day and that life is purposeful. Shortly after relocating to Charlotte, North Carolina, Chris developed an extreme passion for real estate. And by the age of 24, he helped lead the number one real estate firm, our team in the Carolinas, to produce more than $140 million in annual sales, and was named to Charlotte's 30 under 30, Elite 50 entrepreneurs, 30 under 30 entrepreneurs, and nominated for Forbes 30 under 30. It's phenomenal.
Thank you.
Chris is the principal again at QC Capital and has successfully transacted over $40 million in real estate volume. He's quickly gained recognition and notoriety for his hard work and dedication. And he's also the founder and host of the Mindful Multifamily podcast. Through Chris's vision, QC Capital has quickly become a well-respected, high-return investment firm, and that's why we have you here today, Chris. So again, looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about your background, kind of how you got started, and go from there.
Yeah, good. So I started out in the single-family industry, selling single-family real estate here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Very quickly gained a success in selling residential real estate, which I decided to merge my company after 2.5 years with the number one team in the Carolinas. And I really fell into their operational role. So I started training their sales agents. I created a coaching program. I started cutting expenses, really digging deep into the business. And then from there, what I did was I really fell into their operational, and I was able to make them 46% profitable in 1 year compared to their 3 years of being stagnant with no growth. And from there, I felt like I hit a ceiling. And then I realized that when you play the game Monopoly, there's no broker in there. So I said, okay, well, I need to rethink things. So I started studying between 2008 2012 what asset class was the strongest, because I wanted to be somewhere where it's a necessity. I knew technology was coming up very rapidly. It was putting, businesses out. So I said, I need to be somewhere where it's a necessity. And that was multifamily. Multifamily was the strongest between 2008 and 2012. So I said, this is where I need to be. So I started studying it, reading, listening to podcasts, reading books, YouTube. And from there, I ended up coming across my coach and mentor. I decided to work with him and join his private group. Then I started scaling my business extremely quickly. So within 7 months, we were able to have ownership of a little over 40 million and 364 units. And today we're submitting a $25 million LOI for a property. So hopefully we get that. And we have around 11 other deals we're analyzing. So very excited.
Wow, man, that's incredible. That's awesome. How did you come to apartment syndication? I know you mentioned a little bit about you found your mentor and whatnot, but what was it to that apartment syndication that attracted you to go this route?
Yeah, so my mentor is Joe Fairless, large apartment syndicator in the space. I work extremely close with him, weekly calls one-on-one with him. But you really follow the footsteps of your mentor. So I didn't know what apartment syndication was. All I knew is he just bought apartments. So I was like, okay, well, I just want to buy apartments. And then once I dug deeper into it after hiring him, and I'm like, oh, this is apartment syndication. Okay, now I know it. And so that's how I really fell into the apartment syndication role. And believe it or not, I'm actually writing 2 books on apartment syndication and to teach people how to buy them and teach people how to invest in them.
Man, that's awesome. You'll have to let us know what those book titles are. We'll be
yes, I will.
So when you originally started educating yourself and finding, Joe and getting involved in his mentorship, how long did it take you to transition from the education's role to okay, I'm ready to dive in and do my first deal?
Less than a month. Yeah, I'm a big believer. I mean, I was making good money selling residential real estate, 250, 300,000, and that's not, that's not bad. That's decent. But it's always a hustle, and I cut it off cold turkey. I did not take any clients anymore. I will not. I passed them on to coaching clients that I've coached, but I will not take anyone when it comes to residential sales. So I cut it off cold turkey. And I'm a firm believer that back in the day, if you and I had a tribe, the Stone Age, you and I had a tribe, and it was our goal to go out and get food. We're going to go out and get food if we know our family's starving. We're going to do whatever it takes to get any type of food to bring it back. One, so our wives don't kill us, but two, to make sure everyone eats. So I have that mentality when it comes to work ethic and drive, is that if you put yourself your back up against the wall, you're willing to do whatever it takes to get to wherever you need to be. You're willing to call more people. You're willing to get out there, show up. So I knew I needed to do that. So I cut it off cold turkey and hopped straight into it.
Wow, man, that's a big commitment, but
it is, and it's it's nerve-wracking. You will lose some sleep, but no one said this entrepreneurship journey is very smooth. So you will lose some sleep. You will be stressed out a lot, but you have to have a strong and positive mindset to push yourself through and to overcome those obstacles.
Absolutely, man. So I'm glad you said that, because I wanted to go back to in your introduction, you're a firm believer of affirmations and to help with that goal setting and mindset. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how important that has been to your ability to scale so far?
The importance of it is this. It's outrageous how important it is. Mindset's 99%, 98 to 99% of the success. You have to have a strong mindset to overcome any obstacles, because as an entrepreneur, and especially in the real estate industry, you're going to get told no a lot. You're going to get told you can't do this, and you have to be willing to keep pushing. Some people, believe it or not, they don't want to talk to me. And they may not know me. That's fine. But they don't want to have a phone call with me. They don't know that I normally charge for coaching clients anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 for a coaching call. But when it comes to it, you have to keep pushing yourself. Have a strong and positive mindset. I meditate in the mornings and in the evenings. I want to make sure that my mindset is strong and it's positive, and that I have good things flowing through it. I will always find the positive out of any negative situation.
That's awesome.
Any negative situation, I will find the positive. And if you think like that, then you will create that mindset for success. But you have to have a strong mindset. And if you don't, then people end up quitting and then going back to the corporate world.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you talk a little bit more about like how, I know you mentioned that you have your routine that helps you as far as your mindset, but talk about your goal setting. Like I know that you're big on, you post your goals everywhere that you can see.
I have it right here under my wrapped up. I have it on my phone. I have it on my back screen of my laptop. I have it right here on my goal tracker. I have it everywhere. When I don't mean to interrupt, and I'll get off real quick, but when I meditate, I think of it 24/7. I envision me achieving those goals.
Man, that's awesome. And that's where I was kind of wanting to get to is, if you're not writing down your goals and visualizing it every day, your ability to grow or continue to move towards those goals kind of sometimes can lack, right? So,
for sure.
So can you kind of just elaborate more on that, and like what was it that made you start writing your goals down, and how do you write your goals down?
Believe it or not, about a year and a half ago, I never read a book because I was told throughout school that I was dyslexic. And I had special reading classes and all that. But now I can read a 300-page book in less than a week because I'm driven. I want to learn the information. I don't really want to learn the 1920s history of the Spanish, fighting or, anything like that. I don't, it's irrelevant to today. I care for the people that were there to get us to where we are today, but the history has moved on. So it's stuff I enjoy. So when it comes to it and creating that mindset, you really have to dig deep inside. And when it comes to goal setting, if you don't write down your goals, and it may not be once a day, but if you don't envision your goals or if you don't see it on a daily basis, then what are they?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, to me, it's a dream. And a dream, and I've had some people give me kickback on this, but a dream is in my opinion unachievable, because when you're sleeping you're dreaming of crazy things, but do they actually really happen in reality? They may, or it may be of something that's already happened, so that's the past. But a goal is something to achieve. A goal is something to go out there and accomplish, and that's why you should be writing them down or having them envision 24/7.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. Being able to visualize your goals every day is a way to hold yourself accountable, right, to
I
what you're doing. So awesome, man. So in saying that, so you've again going back to the beginning of your story, you found a mentor, you found Joe. What were some of the challenges that you had in getting started?
Great question. So some of the most challenging getting started in the multifamily industry is especially raising money. A lot of people think they can raise money, and I always say cut it in half. If you think you can raise $1 million, you can only raise 500, and the reason why is because life happens. Life happens to me. Life happens to you. Life happens, and when it happens, it happens. And when you get knocked down, for some reason, life just loves to kick you when you're down, and things just start to tumble left and right. So that's when that positive attitude and that mindset will help you get back up. But it's definitely making sure that your network knows what you're doing. And if you're coming from a residential real estate background, it definitely helps to let them know, because when I first sent out to my database that I was syndicating an apartment complex, they thought I was selling a unit. So I had people who were like, well, how much is a unit? And I'm like, I'm not selling one unit. I'm buying the whole apartment complex. And they're like, oh, I didn't know you can do that. So when it comes to it, it's educating them, letting them know, making them aware of what's out there, and that was the most difficult part, was especially raising capital. I think finding the deals is it's difficult, but whatever you tell yourself is difficult, it's going to be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
is how it is. If you say yes, it's going to be difficult, or if you feel it, it's going to be difficult for you. So if you have that mindset that it's not going to be difficult, that you can achieve it, no matter what it takes, you're going to achieve it, then you're going to achieve it. It's easy when I build broker relations, because I used to be a broker, and I actually just hired, and I'm meeting my acquisition specialist after this. He used to be a broker for Marcus Millichap. So I want someone in the acquisition role who used to be a broker, who knows how to deal with sellers, talk to sellers, and all that good stuff. So I would say the most difficult would be for individuals that are starting off, is raising capital and making sure people know what you're doing.
So in speaking of that, what are some ways that those who are starting off new, what are some ways that they can start building that database? For you were part of a real estate team. You probably had a client base from that, but for those, like I said, who are just getting started, what are some ways that they can start building relationships with potential investors, and how do they scale that database?
Yeah, great question. Actually, if you see right here, I just created a coaching program, which I will let everybody know at the very end of this, the coaching program. And it's not super expensive like all these other ones you hear, but on a lesson number 7, we were talking about investors, and I do videos on them. So when it comes to it, I always say, and I'm not going to give too many tips away because it's in there, but when you build relationships, you want to, first tap into your previous network. Why? Because they know you, they trust you, and they will probably trust doing business with you. You have a good chance of that. So you want to build that strong relationship with them in regards to that, and just let them know, educate them. Don't sell them on things. I mean, like, there's certain people in this industry that are kind of like used car salesmen. If you know who they are, yeah. Don't sell them on anything. Educate them. I educate all potential investors, or all investors in our database, just saying, look, this is another avenue that you can make a lot of money, and you can build wealth, and it's sustainable during a crash, and it's safer, in my opinion, than any other asset out there. So I educate them on it, and I show them what they can be a part of, and they enjoy that. So if someone's just getting started, I would say build your database, build a list of individuals that that will possibly or more than likely invest with you, and start working with them, because they also will know people as well. And then you can start to build a strong investor pool.
Awesome. And And what would be some ways that you would recommend, excuse me, to help educate those investors who may potentially consider working with us? We built a relationship with them over time, but how do we help them learn what it is that we're doing?
Well, first you got to listen to podcasts like yours. Listen to podcasts like mine. You have to educate yourself before you can educate someone else. So gain that knowledge. And the biggest thing is in the coaching program, I explain this, is that when you educate yourself, you gain a certain confidence. No matter what career is it, if it's banking, if it's finance, if it's cutting lawn, or anything, whatever you're doing, if you educate yourself, you're going to gain some sort of confidence in yourself when you speak about it. And you can probably hear, and if you are watching this on YouTube, you can see my drive and my motivation, because I have confidence in what I know because I've gained the knowledge. So first, gain the knowledge. Listen to podcasts, YouTube videos, read books. Once you gain the knowledge, then you can go ahead and educate these investors. And how you educate them is, I'm a big believer, is when I first meet someone, I always think on how can I add value to their personal life and their business. I don't want anything in return, but how can I add value to their personal life and business? And I know the laws of attraction is going to come back and take care of me. So when I do that, and once they bring up the real estate topic, then I start to dive deeper into it. Well, where do you invest now? Have you invested in a syndication before? Or do you just have a 401k and it's all dumped into the stock market? Well, did you know you can invest your 401k or Roth IRA into a deal? Educating them that way, and then showing them, look at the tax benefits. Look at the percentages that you're going to make off these deals. And then they start to open their eyes, and then they start to feel comfortable investing with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you said that, because it's about giving back, right? It's taking
Correct.
the approach of being able
Always.
to give back and not really necessarily expecting something in return. And I find that that's a great way to build that organic relationship with other investors. So, um, so when we're getting started and we're building that business, as you said, I would agree with you. Raising capital is probably one of the most difficult hurdles to overcome in the beginning. But do we focus just on that, or do you focus on one piece at a time? I mean, how do we build that business and get momentum going?
Yeah, great question. I always say you need to make sure the capital's there. And a lot of people say, well, I need to get the deal. And then they say, well, how can I talk to investors if I don't have a deal? Well, you can educate investors on what you're doing. And when you have a deal, then they will feel comfortable. But you need to make sure you have the fund, you have the capital, because when you are in a final invest, like we've been in, and you're on the phone with the seller, and they're like, well, where are you getting your capital from? Okay, we're syndicating it. Okay, well, how many syndications have you done? Or where are these investors? Are they high? Where are you getting them? Are they your network? Are they high net worth individuals? Are they someone else's? Are you doing a 506c or 506b? So it's very important to make sure you have the capital ready. And for the individuals that are just starting out, partner with someone. Partner with a large sponsor if the large sponsor is willing to partner. A KP. Find a good sponsor that can also bring equity to the table, because that will be extremely beneficial. Your first deal is always your hardest.
Absolutely. That's huge, man. We talked about this in another episode with somebody else, and you're right. You can really do this on your own if you really have that much time, but it is a very hard business to do on your own, right? So if you have a partner that can help you
For sure.
scale, it makes a difference. So, in speaking to that, is there somebody that you're partnering with, and how did you come across that partner, and how did you know that was a good fit for you?
Great question. I added value. That's how I did it. When I first got into the industry, I founded one large operator who's growing very quickly in the Carolinas, and I said, I want to come to your property 3 times a week. I want to learn everything. I want to soak up as much knowledge. I'll be a fly on the wall. I won't do anything. I'll drive you around. I'll be your chauffeur.
Wow.
And a lot of people are like, well, why would you want to be someone's chauffeur? Why? Because knowledge is power. And at the end of the day, knowledge is also money. Because you're going to use that knowledge to get deals, to help people, to educate people, and that's going to pay you in return. May not pay you that single day, which that's what a lot of people want, and that's what their mindset is. I'm not getting paid today, so I'm not doing it. But you're going to get paid down the road. And one thing someone cannot take away is your knowledge in your brain. So when it comes to partnering, I added value to a certain group, and they decided that it would be a good fit to partner on the property. And then from there, what happened was they're growing, we're growing, and we're always open to partnering with individuals, but we're looking at larger deals now. So people who sponsor our deals have a high net worth of anywhere from 20, 40, or 50 million.
Wow, man. Wow. Love that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So in speaking to where you're investing, you're in Charlotte, North Carolina. Are you
Yes.
investing solely in Charlotte, or are you open to other markets? And
Oh yeah, great question. Great question. So we're looking Charlotte, Raleigh, Greenville, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, Atlanta, and then on our back burner we have Dallas, Texas, and Orlando. But right now our deal flow is so heavy in the Atlanta, Charleston, Greenville, South Carolina, Charlotte, and the Raleigh area that we don't need to go look into those other cities. But we're extremely excited what we have here coming up, and we have big plans for 2020.
yeah, I know North Carolina, particularly, especially Charlotte, it's been one of the most
On fire.
on fire markets. Yeah.
On fire.
So
And it's going to keep growing. We're at the beginning. We're not necessarily the beginning, but we're at the intro to everything, because it has tons of growth, and the city of Charlotte is building out more infrastructure for the roads because they know we're growing even more. And I think if you drive to Uptown, we call it Uptown, but downtown Charlotte, which I'm going to for a meeting this afternoon, there's like 12 to 15 cranes that are up. So it's growing quickly.
booming.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So aside from the obvious, Charlotte being your backyard, some of the other markets you mentioned that are out of state from where you're at, how do you choose those markets, and what are some of the indicators that you're looking for to kind of eye a particular market?
Yeah, great question. So job growth. Job growth is number one for me when it comes to it. The reason why is because when there's a large amount of job growth, that means there's going to be a large amount of population. If the job growth is on a decline, then the population more than likely will be on a decline. And the reason why is because people need to work. They need to make money. So people are going to go where they need to make money. That's why they travel across the United States from coast to coast to change jobs, because they need to make money. So I really focus on job growth and where do I see that city in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years for job growth, infrastructure of that city, the plans for the city and what's going on. And then the location of the property is extremely important that we look at. And we always make sure that I think above and beyond. So I contact residential real estate agents in those areas to find out what's going on in the single family housing market. Is it a seller's market? Is it a buyer's market? What's going on? And then from there, normally from the network that I have built, I know someone that lives in all the cities we focus on. I know someone that lives there. Anything in the Carolinas, I know very well. But like, for example, Atlanta, I know a handful of people in Atlanta. So I would necessarily get their advice, possibly bring them on. So people would also feel comfortable that there's someone local that's on there. So yeah.
That's awesome. And so what would you say to somebody who may not have the proximity to a solid market or a good market? A lot of people are hesitant to kind of go outside of a particular radius from their backyard, if you will. So what would you say to those investors about investing out of state or looking out of state if they're not close to a market like, Charlotte, for example?
Great question. There's a lot of things on it. I always say if you draw a circle and inside your circle you put everything that you have and that you have currently, that's your comfort zone. Then if you draw a bigger circle outside of that circle, and within those circles you put everything you want. And that means you got to step outside of your comfort zone to get whatever you want. So when it comes to it, if you're not in a good market, I told she was my girlfriend, but now my fiance, when I first got into this industry, I'm very dedicated to what I do, and I put my back up against the wall. Like I said earlier, I'm willing to move. I just happen to be in one of the best markets, Charlotte, North Carolina, so I'm happy. But I'd be willing to move anywhere across the United States if it's a good market. If you're not willing to move and take that leap, then I would start studying the market very heavily. I would start to if you can travel out there, I'd travel out there, go to local meetups, go to conferences in that city, and network with people who live in that city and try to find a partner in that city, so you can go ahead and connect with them. That is 100% something that I would do so you can get your foot in there.
Awesome. Do you find that there's any additional challenges to investing out of state versus in your own backyard, other than travel?
Yeah, I would definitely say that when it comes to investing not in your own backyard and when you're traveling, is you need to have a good property manager on site, because you have to make sure that you have a good team, because if you don't have a good team, then your property is going to fail. There's a property we're looking to acquire, and they went through 7 different property managers in 3 years.
Hmm.
Because they
Wow.
live up north. They don't live here. And one of their property managers was selling drugs out of their unit. I mean, so if you don't live there and you're not there all the time and checking up on your properties, then no one's going to take as good as care of a property than you would, because it's your own.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, the concept of teams, because we talk a lot about, building broker relationships in this business. We talk a lot about investor relationships, but I don't feel like we talk enough about, building teams and systems to put in place to help you grow, because that's just as important, right?
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the important team members that you feel like we should be adding to our team as we're trying to grow and scale our business?
Great question. I think find out your weaknesses and hire for your weaknesses, or not necessarily your weaknesses, but it may not be your strength. So underwriting, I know underwriting. I can underwrite. I've underwritten a ton of deals, but I don't. That's something that I don't enjoy. So I've hired an underwriter who loves doing it and can do it in a very short period of time compared to me, and he has been a huge, very beneficial to our company. And then recently just hired an acquisition specialist to go ahead and acquire and find and build relationships with brokers to get deals. So I would say whatever you are not good at or your weakness, go ahead and hire. So that's someone else's strength, and you can all grow together very quickly.
That's awesome. Excellent. And talk a little bit too about the systems that you've put in place. I mean, obviously, $40 million in, real estate transactions plus, that's a higher volume in a very short amount of time. So how did you scale with certain systems? Like, what systems did you apply to do that?
So when it comes to it, the systems that I've applied to do that to scale is networking. If anyone follows me on social media, they can tell that I'm a huge networker. I post great content to add value to people. I go to real estate conferences, and I think that has helped tremendously when it comes to networking and when it comes to building relationships to scale the business. Be honest with people and be straightforward. I have an investor who gives me anywhere from $200,000 to $600,000, and he doesn't ask questions.
Wow.
And there was one time we were doing a personal deal together, and he didn't even sign the contract. He just gave me the money because he trusts me. He knows I'm going to get the job done. He knows how dedicated I am and how much I love real estate. He knows I would not do anything bad to jeopardize his funds. And he knows I'm going to give him a return, but he didn't. This was for a different personal thing. He didn't ask any questions at all. Just sent it over to me and said, "Hey, it's going to be there in a couple days." And did not sign anything. That's how much he trusts me, but he knows I'm dedicated and that I'm responsible and that I will get the job done, and I'll make sure. And he knows I take care of his money like it's my own. And that's when, if you're investing in other operators, you need to make sure, that they're willing to, one, they're investing alongside you, but they're taking care of that money just like it's their own, because I don't like losing money. That's one thing I cannot stand, is to lose a penny. Warren Buffett, I will not walk across any money without picking it up off the ground. Warren Buffett taught me that.
I love that. That's awesome. So kind of, elaborating on that. So, networking is an important system for you, but what else as far as your business, like QC Capital as a group,
Yeah.
what other systems did you put in place to kind of help? Like, do you have somebody to help you with, your deal flow? For example, I know you said you're having a deal or acquisitions manager coming on, but are there different processes that you have in place to maybe source deals, handled like the operational side of your company?
Yeah, great question. So I handle the operational side of the company because I'm the final say. I've ran companies before, and I know what needs to be in place to run this company to become possibly the next Blackstone. That's the goal. But to get to that level, when it comes to operational, yes, at first as an entrepreneur and starting your own business, you have to do everything. And but when you do everything, you have to do it and stay consistent. If you don't stay consistent, that's when things start to fall off. So when I first started, I did everything and I stayed consistent. Then I had hired an underwriter because I knew that's the first thing I needed to hire, because I am hunting deals. I'm building relationships with brokers, and I can find the deals very quickly. And then when it came to a certain level, I said, okay, well, I want to hire an acquisition specialist, but introduce him to my brokers because they trust me and they know me and they like to work with me. And so moving forward, we will be hiring a videographer to follow me around because people love to watch what I do on a daily basis and the motivation I give out. So we will hire a videographer, and then that videographer will then go ahead and do social media content. But I will always be on social media responding and networking with potential clients or just other business owners.
Sure, sure. So as your business is scaling, you're basically scaling your company along with it, right? You're adding those key pieces to kind of help you continue to
Your
grow.
foundation is your strongest part of the company, and you need it super strong. If you don't have a strong foundation, you won't have a high rise. All these high rises you see in each city, they're large. I mean, 50, 60, 100-story high rises. Well, you have to guarantee that foundation of that high rise is super strong. And the reason why is because it's holding that whole building up. If that foundation wasn't strong, it'd collapse. So you need your foundation strong in your company so you can grow.
Absolutely, man. I love that. I love that. So at what point in the growth of your company did you know, okay, it's time for me to start bringing on this person or this person or this member? I'm sure in the beginning it's so overwhelming and there's so much, but like you said, nobody's going to care for it as much as you are. But at what point did you know that, hey, I need to bring somebody else in to help me with this?
When the deal started flowing in a lot, and I knew I was spending so much time underwriting, and I knew I could hire someone that they can do it in 5 minutes instead of my 2 hours. So that right there is when I said, okay, I'm going to hire an underwriter. And then once the deal started flowing in a lot, and I need to be in front of investors and networking and on social media, then I said, okay, well, I need to then hire an acquisition specialist to source these deals from our criteria while I focus on building relationships with investors and bringing capital.
Awesome. Excellent. So we know we're kind of getting near the end of our time here, Chris. So I'm going to try to wrap it up here a little bit. But so what are some valuable points or tips that you can give to those who may be just getting started? Some words of advice, if you will.
Yeah, words of advice. Find a mentor. Find a program that will be extremely beneficial to you. Like I said, I created a coaching program, and a lot of these coaching programs are $10, $20, $30, $40,000. And to me, I thought, well, that's a lot of money, and I paid $25,000 to get mine. And last I heard, he was up to 60. So yeah, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
But and you have to pay something, because if you don't pay at all, then you're not going to really take it serious. So that's one reason why I created mine, which is only $199 a month. And you get access to all my documents, everything I've done to get to where I'm at today. So I would say hire a coach, hire a mentor to help guide you through this process, because it's all about building relationships and partnering, and you're going to need a coach and you're going to need a mentor. If you don't have a coach or have a mentor, then it's going to be extremely difficult for you to grow.
And how would you say, do we go about finding those mentors? How do you choose or select which mentor to work with? Because there's a lot of great people out there. And I'm excited about your new course. I'm going to definitely check it out. But what advice would you give to those who are looking at all these different mentors out there?
The advice I would give, and I can't say because Joe does not take anyone anymore, but one reason why I went with him is one-on-one interaction. So when it comes to it, when you're looking for it, I would network throughout social media and bigger pockets to find out who's in what coaching program, and then just learn about that coaching program. See if it fits your needs. See if it fits your style of learning. And if it does, then go with it. If it doesn't, then keep interviewing everybody. I would interview everybody, then pick which one that fits your style of learning, because you want to make sure you can learn it very quickly and learn the content to help you become successful.
Awesome. That's great, man. So what do you do for your continued learning and education related to your investing?
I read books. I work 24/7. And when I mean I work 24/7, I not literally 24, I would say probably 20 or 18 hours a day that I work. I read a lot. So I read a lot of articles on what's going on with the market. How's multifamily going to perform? I have a handful of business books and multifamily books that I do read to keep the knowledge, keep my mind running. And that has helped me, stay on top, stay on the cutting edge of everything. But you will always be learning. You will always be reading. So I get tons of articles on a daily basis to go through about multifamily.
Great. Who has been the biggest inspiration for you in your success?
Oof. I'd say, I've only been in Joe's program for 1 year, so I've learned a lot very quickly. So I would say it would be it would be Joe, because he's been there the majority of, my success, and he's opened my eyes to multifamily real estate investing.
Awesome. And how can the listeners get connected with you and learn more about you?
Yes, I love it. You can follow me on Instagram, Chris_Salerno_. Go ahead and join our networking group on Facebook, which is the Mindful Multifamily Network. And then if you guys are interested in our coaching program, it's the mindfulmultifamilyacademy.com, where you'll be able to learn all the information. And then go ahead, if you want to register, it's only $199 a month, and you'll get access to my underwriting template and all my documents.
That's awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much again for being on this call. I know the listeners are going to just learn a ton of value from this conversation. So looking forward to being able to connect with you again, and just appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited that everyone was here listening to this podcast, and I hope everyone has a wonderful and productive day.